This is Political Blind Date.
I respect some of the differences that you have, particularly around the transportation regulations. We come at it from different perspectives. But at least if in the discussion you're saying now, as a leader in the community, there actually are some components within C71 that do make sense, because I've had those conversations, then I think we've actually made some progress, which is to have a principled, substantive debate to raise the level of that discussion so that Canadians don't feel like you and I are just embarking on pointless partisanship, where we're actually making some headway.
I agree that it would be great to make some headway, but when you talk to the people that are actually impacted by the legislation, having a gun shop owner keep his records for 20 years, how is that going to improve public safety? Just show me the link there, well, how that will improve public safety. Number two, the issue of classification of firearms. There has been example after example after example that's been cited to me where the RCMP have made mistakes, currently some of the legislation, like that they have criminalized people administratively overnight, and there's no need for that. And there is no way in the world that a law enforcement agency who is mandated to enforce the law should also develop it and make the classifications on their own. There's no way in the world that is an appropriate democratic process. And should they be part of it? Absolutely, they should be part of it, but not solely on their own. They are not accountable to anybody.
Law enforcement? Sure they are. Come on, Glenn, you're a former police officer. You're accountable to the public the same way as a police officer.
No, that's not at all what I'm saying, Marco. What I'm saying is when the RCMP they don't make a recommendation about how they're going to change a classification of firearm, they just do it.
Well, they don't just do it.
Yes,
in fairness,
they have just done it.
I think you and I both know that under the new model, that even though classification of firearms will rest with the RCMP, that there will still be plenty of consultation and dialogue as there is under the current system. And what we're doing is we're relying on a branch of law enforcement that is specialized, right, that has an understanding of caliber and ballistics, and
there's other individuals in our society, though, Marco, who have exactly the same or more impressive and appropriate credentials to deal with this. And so having them together would be very, very wise. And then they recommend to Parliament. Parliament is the one who has the public's responsibility, so Parliament then is held accountable for those classifications.
This may be one of those areas where, we're going to respectfully disagree, and I get that. I get that.
But there's other ones on 71 that I can't change my mind on because of what the Canadian public has told me.
Yeah.
I won't change my mind because it's not appropriate. What we can agree on is that we need to focus on ensuring in some mechanism, we need to make sure that our law and the penalties have some bite in them.
Our government is committed to restoring some of the cuts which were made under the last administration. I'm not, casting stones at you personally, Glenn, but I will say that it is hard to reconcile some of the rhetoric that I hear coming from some of your colleagues around the need to be sure that we are properly resourcing our justice system, but that under the last administration we saw like somewhere to the tune of $750 million in cuts right across public safety. So we're now putting that money back into the CBSA, into the RCMP, so we can strengthen our borders, which is only part of the problem. We don't want illegal guns coming in from the United States, but from the data that is available, we know that there are more guns which are being trafficked within Canada's borders.
There's a difference. The words you're using right there are wrong. I agree that there are firearms trafficked within our country. Their origin is the issue. Their origin, that statement makes it appear as if the origins, they are Canadian. Are there some Canadian firearms that are
once they're
here.
inside of Canadian borders, once they're lawfully purchased, that doesn't mean that
they're not always lawfully purchased.
That doesn't mean that they can't be commandeered to commit senseless crimes.
This is Political Blind Date.